Wonderful.
Let's hear it for John.
Yeah, let's hear it for you guys. Today, my job is to give you a whole structure around the systems that you put in place. And I'm going to do that pretty quickly because I know that some of you already have your systems in place, but others of you are just starting out. I'm going to go through it quickly from perspective of just getting you an idea of the landscape of what's available. And when you kind of get a sense of that and you get a feeling of where you want to play in that, because everybody decides their level that they want to play at. So during this session today, decide on what level you want to play at from a systems perspective. What is going to serve you best right now, and help and stay with you and help you grow, to where you want to be in the future. So the way I've done this, and to give you a little bit of background on me, because I think this will give you kind of a context on why a star is talking to you about systems, because like there's some kind of inconsistency there for many people. A bit of my background is that when I was 18 years old, when I was 16 years old, I was given a computer from my dad, and this was early days of computing, and there was an XT. Everyone remember what an XT was? PC? Yeah, we've got some people with both their hands up. Yeah, exactly. So this thing had a floppy disk, and I had some programs on there, and I looked at this thing, and after playing with it for a while, I just went, oh my goodness, this thing has so much possibility. And this was DOS days, and it was before they had anything which was worth even talking about, really. But I got so excited about it, and I started talking to friends of mine about it, and they got excited about it, and I then went to their house, and I told their parents about what I was getting out of it, and their parents then went, oh, well, if that's what's happening, we should buy our child one. John, where did you get yours? And I went, well, I could organize it for you, which I did, and I sold the computer. And I went, that wasn't easy, few $100s I just made, so I did it over and over again. And by the time I left school, I already had a business. And I then went on to do electrical engineering after school, and I didn't particularly enjoy going to lectures and stuff like that, so I didn't show up a lot at those. And after about a year, not even a year, I decided that this wasn't for me, and I was pulling out, and I was going to continue building the business, which I did. My dad said it was a bad idea. I said to him, well, I'll compromise, I'll go to night school. So I did night school for 6 years and eventually got my degree, so that was okay. And in fact, in hindsight, if I didn't have that, it would have been much harder for me to kind of get to Australia and do the things that I was able to do without the piece of paper. So I'm glad I did that, even though I hated it. But the thing that happened was that I realized that, and it wasn't even a conscious realization, I just realized that if I got excited about something, I started speaking to other people about it, they would get excited about it, because they would see what it was in it for them, where they could find the value from whatever I was talking about. So I realized that very, very quickly I could build a business this way, and I got some business partners in place, something which I did from day one, which, when I say day one, once I left school, was get business partners in with me, and I gave them 50-50, or we all took 30% or whatever it was when there was more of us. But that was my strategy, was just, I don't want to play on my own. Let me get all my best friends, who I think are the smartest people in the industry that we're in, which was in computing, and let's just do this business together. So I kept doing that, and that helped me get to success very, very quickly. In 1992, Nelson Mandela was released in South Africa, and the year and a half prior to that, we had been approached by I'll call it the University of Knowledge, which was the actual history of South Africa, where all the documentation of what really was happening in my country was actually being exported out the country to actually preserve it, because it was being burnt and destroyed by the local government. So when there was talk about Nelson Mandela being released, and like the whole process was going forward, all of this information came flooding back in, and they were dropping aeroplane loads of videos and books and audio clips and all this history, which I'd never seen before. And we had the University of Western Cape approach us because we happened to be selling computers for the Reader's Digest company in South Africa. We were packaging all of the Reader's Digest CDs with our computer, and we had the Reader's Digest contract. And they came to us and said, "Hey, could you help us take this archive and put it onto CD for us?" And we went, "Yeah, sure, we could do that." So we did that for a year and a half. I actually went into Lord space and I actually went programming, which was crazy. But it was really interesting. It was good. It was a good experience, and I was only in my early 20s anyway. So, so we did that, and we launched these DVDs or CD-ROMs that they were called in those days. We launched a number of them on when Nelson Mandela was actually released, pretty much that week. And we sold 3,500 of them at $350 a piece. And suddenly I was a multi-billionaire as far as I was concerned. Like, what do you do with all this money? So what you usually do, you go off and buy a motorcycle and all sorts of toys, as you do when you decide, we'd done the product and it was done, and we made the sales, and yeah, if somebody else wanted to continue with that, then it's great. So he brought us, myself and my business partner, into his business, and we started creating DVDs and CD-ROMs for right across South Africa. And 5 years later, we got bought out again, and by the biggest publisher in South Africa. And it was a really interesting journey because I was playing this role of programmer for a lot through those 5 years, and I was out of flow. And I knew I wasn't the smartest guy in doing what I was doing. I didn't enjoy doing what I was doing, but there was an ego attached to it's me and I did it and I programmed that and whatever else. There was definitely that going on, and after about a year of that company buying us out, they were bought out by another company, and that company decided they didn't want us anymore, and they gave us back our company, and for very, very little. And so we ended up with this company and all these products and stuff like that, and ideas of new products, but somebody had to go out and sell this. And I went, I guess I'll go do that. I'll put my hand up and I'll go sell some of the stuff. And we ended up getting some contracts with the biggest stationery companies in South Africa called, I think it was called CNA. But basically, like, if you think of any major distributors, retail distributors, that's what these guys did, and they picked up a lot of our CDs and were selling those, all the way to a point where I kind of went, okay, I'm very happy with that, and I'm kind of over doing all this, and I want to go off and go play with other people. I didn't really like the guy who bought us out, and he was old and full of shit. So I looked around and I found two other people who are doing extraordinary things in South Africa in the multimedia industry, and I approached them, and there was only a few of us like really at the top of the line for multimedia. And I approached them and I said, "Hey guys, what if we put something together? Wouldn't that be cool? Like just some of the best minds in this industry, and we turn this into an agency where like the agencies who could come in, talk to us, and we'll get all these programmers, because we both, all of us had programmers that we were working with, and we just had this network of programmers and developers and designers, and we'll just take all of what they want over here, and we'll do the translation into technical language, and give that to the technical guys and actually get them the results that they're looking for." And that was the start of our company called Digital Junction. And that company went for about 10 years. It was a huge part of my development. It then transformed. I actually ended up coming to Australia with that company as to launch that. So we did that, and I got some new business partners in Australia. There was a falling out between those new business partners and my old business partners, so we ended up severing that relationship, and we changed the brand to Platform Interactive. And Platform Interactive went for another 6 or 7 years on top of that. And we, as I said to you before, we sold shares in that business. We got a whole bunch of people involved in working with us there. We bought another company for close to $500,000, and that actually ended up being the one thing that ended up closing the business was by buying another one. But that's another story. So yeah, we ended up going into multimedia, or from multimedia into internet development and actual systems. And I realized that the whole reason why I wanted a systems company was because I was really clear that I didn't have enough of my own ability to get the systems right. So let's hire a whole bunch of developers to do that very smartly. And then I went and spoke to different businesses on how they could actually have their internet systems actually run their business. And this was like, early 2000s, 2002, 2003. So email marketing and stuff like that wasn't even spoken about. We had an email marketing system we had designed, developed in 2000. So we released this into the Australian market. We call it DIME, Digital Interactive Marketing Engine, and it became an instant hot seller. We then developed a whole bunch of modules around the websites and stuff like that, and everything integrated, and that was very exciting. We got a whole bunch of investment coming in after about 2 years, 3 years. 3 years later, we ended up getting a whole bunch of investment. We ended up selling a big part of the company to some of the key developers and staff who were with us, and that was strategic because we wanted them to be part of the business for its entire future. And I ended up going from Perth to Melbourne to open up the Melbourne branch and to expand this nationally, this company. And I ended up doing the one thing that ended my entire time with my business, which essentially was this whole idea of promoting yourself out of your own flow. And a lot of people, you hear of people being, this whole thing in corporate where you promote somebody out of the business because by putting them there, they're going to be out of flow. They're not going to be able to manage that. It's going to be exactly opposite to where their major value is. So I ended up doing that to myself because I thought that was the natural thing to do. Just I've got to climb the ladder and I've got to become, I've got to do things differently and I've got to, be the CEO and whatever else. And so I ended up on pretty much a weekly basis. My roles were training the sales staff, which I enjoy doing, going out on certain calls with them and helping them with a sale, which was great, which I wasn't doing enough of. And then the other part was, reporting on their sales, reporting to the board, writing reports, and getting all that in, and every month flying back to Perth to meet up with the board and deliver all that. And I found myself getting very stressed out because I found myself stuck in that part, the stuff which was really, for me it was so hard to do. I ended up finding myself stuck in that every single week and taking so long to do it that I was actually getting less and less doing less and less of the stuff that was in my flow. And I was out of selling. I wasn't in as a salesperson there at all. I wasn't finding my own leads and doing the work which I did so well prior to that. And I ran into Roger and I ran into Wealth Dynamics through my business coach, a guy named Rick Schnabel. He said, "You should come have a listen to this guy. He's really, he's got an incredible, message, and you want to also look at presenting. You should come have a listen to how he presents." And that's where I met Paul Dunn and Roger, and Paul Dunn introduced Roger Hamilton. And I'm sitting in the audience, and this little guy comes out and is like, bang! He's like, everyone's like, whoa, who's this? And that's Paul. And he's going, oh, no, this is what's going to happen today. And for those of you who are going to see the value, you're going to come along. You're going to come with us to Gold Coast, and here's Roger Hamilton. And like Roger comes on, and I'm just going, whoa, this message is fresh, it's new, it's nothing I've ever heard before. And literally within a month of learning about Wealth Dynamics and understanding where my flow was and doing some Wealth Dynamics profiles on some of my team, I fired myself from my role as director, fired myself as role of reporter and manager of the sales team, and I put myself back into the sales role. So and I left Melbourne. I went back. It's freezing in Melbourne. It wasn't going well for me. But I moved myself from Melbourne because I wanted to go back to where my network was, which I'd built over the previous time. So I went back to Perth. I went into the office and I took all my stuff out the office, and I gave my office to my project manager, my lead project manager. Said, that's yours, you can have that now. And so I didn't have a place to come and sit in the office, because I realized if I was sitting doing administrative type work, I wasn't actually out selling. So as a star, that's what I needed to do. So every single morning I put myself into a regime that I would get in my car and I'd go and I'd start driving, and I'd decide on who I was going to be talking to that day or that week, and I'd start making appointments in the car whilst I was driving. Most of the time I didn't know where I was going. I was going to probably go stop at a coffee shop and have like a coffee and a bit of breakfast or whatever else. But the main point was just get out. Get out of my home, get out of the office, stay out the office, and that's where my primary value is. Of course, I needed to come into the office to do certain things and paperwork or whatever else, but my primary role was that. And what happened was that next year, from that day, for the next 12 months, we did $996,000, just short of $1 million, which was my goal for the year. Okay, if I could just turn this around and put $1 million back in this company, then I know that we're back on track. And we put $996,000 in there. So I didn't reach the goal, but I was pretty happy with that. And the interesting thing was, I was back in flow. My sales team were back in flow. So my $996,000 in sales was one contributing factor to the whole business, which did $5 million. So I only did 1/5 of that. The other sales team just upped their game because they saw somebody leading from the front in the trenches with them. And I wasn't talking from this place of ego and this place of like, I know better. I was just in there sharing my day-to-day stuff, what was going on, and stuff that was working for me in that moment. And they were in it as well. And then I was hearing their wins as well. So everybody was suddenly back in, and the company just turned around. At that moment as well, I also decided that I didn't want to be working with the two major business partners who I'd put in place, who now owned more of the business than I did, and I decided to exit the business. So I went, love doing what I'm doing, I'm going to exit this business, and I became Roger's promoter in Australia, starting in Perth and then working with Paul to become his promoter in Australia for the whole country. And the interesting thing was I started using all the systems that I put in place in the Platform Interactive business to do that. So from talking to clients and telling them how they can do it for themselves, I now started to apply it for myself, probably for the first time, and realized that it actually worked. A lot of it did, so that was pretty cool. And Paul Dunn gave me huge amounts of value from the perspective of how to run events and how to enroll people and all those things. Because he's just a master of it, the languaging and all those sort of things, which I'd never done before. I'd never written marketing emails. Even though I showed people how to do that, I'd never really done one, like a really good one for my company. I'd written lots of stuff which sounded corporate-like language. Of course, that's all I'd known. Yeah, stuck in that. Yeah, pretty much language. It's terrible. Terrible. Like, you don't speak to a human being that way. Like, you write it in this weird, like I'm speaking to a lawyer or something. I don't understand what you're saying. You wouldn't speak to me like that if we were at the pub. So, like, just understanding all that. And then that went really, really well. We became the fastest growing company in Roger's business worldwide. And life was looking great, and I had a whole bunch of opportunities come in. You know what happens when there's lots of flow, lots of people want to throw opportunities at you. And I had all these opportunities coming in, and I didn't know how to say no. So I just kept saying yes. I'll do that, I'll do that, and we'll develop this. And suddenly I found myself with 15 properties, a 12-unit development, a serviced office building with staff. I was still, even though I was at the Platform Interactive company, I was still there enough to be responsible because I'm still a director of the company, and we'd just bought this in another company, so that had just all happened, even though I wasn't in favor of that. And I had a promotions company which was promoting Roger, and another promotion company which was promoting property, and probably some other things I can't tell you about right now. And we had the adjustment that had to happen showed up, and the banks came in. It was like, hey, I went, can't. And it was a 40,000. Basically, when I did the numbers, it was $40,000 a month I had to pay in cash flow to be able to manage all the stuff that I had going on. So I tried to do that for a few months, and almost ended up in a divorce. I had Roger and my other business, my other coach, Roy McDonald, screaming at me down the phone, saying, "If you don't," some language in there, "let go, you will lose not only your wife and your family, but you'll lose us as mentors because we can't mentor you because you're so stuck." And there's a whole bunch of ego stuff there, and there's lots of stuff around being bankrupt, and there's lots of stuff about paying people back who had invested, and all sorts of things. So I didn't know how to handle all that. Eventually I gave up, and I just went, you know what, if this is what I have to do, then this is what I have to do. And for the next 2 years, basically went through the process of negotiating and completing on companies that just had to close doors. We didn't actually end up bankrupting any of them, but the process was exactly the same. And to be honest, I wish I had for some of them, because they've been constantly being, it keeps coming back to bite me because there's still stuff there. But that's all now completed. But what happened was that myself and Roz got to the stage where we had to sell all of what we thought was us, that defined who we were as human beings, which was assets. This is what, I have a house, so therefore I am a homeowner. And I have a car, so therefore I'm a car owner, or have a status that I can afford a car. Whatever it is, and all the stuff that's in the house. And we ended up selling all of it, and Roz did an amazing job. We ran a whole bunch of garage sales because we had all these different houses. So we got all this furniture from all these different, and she just kept every single weekend, she would go there and she'd sell everything. Stop everything, like fridges, like, lounge suites and everything. But she just sold it all, and it was amazing because, there's no way I could have done that and done it the way she did it. She being an accumulator, she knows the value of stuff, but she also knows what to let go as well. So she just cleaned it out, and it was really interesting because we're sitting after that last one we did, and we went out and just kind of had a little celebratory drink, and we're looking at it and going, oh my God, there's nothing to hold us back for anything. We can do anything right now. We don't have a mortgage to pay. We don't have a house that we've got to look after. We don't have any of the stuff. We've got these backpacks, and we've got a 3x3 storage unit. That's it. Like, how cool is this? It's like, it's liberating to get rid of all of your stuff. It is crazy, crazy liberating. And then suddenly we had some offers come in, and we went and started working with Roger again, and with my mentor Roy, we went and worked with him for about a year, and then kind of got to the end of that, and Roger said to us, "Hey, should we run? I'd love to do something with you, which is like very specific around what we do and what I do." So we came up with Fast Forward Your Business, the whole tours, and 3 years ago we launched that. 3.5 years ago we launched that, and got to the end of that, and Roger said, "Hey, why don't you come over to Bali and come play with me and and the family a little bit more, and come have some fun, and let's shift this whole thing around." And Roz and I were sitting there going, okay. There was absolutely nothing we had to consider. It was just like, okay, we can do that. And some flip-flops, boardies, and some t-shirts. That's all he said we should bring, because we can get everything else here. We got to the airport, and Roz and I were looking at each other, and we were going, man, this has been amazing. Every time we see the right opportunity, which is right for us, we've just taken that action and done it, and look where we are right now. I wonder what is installed for us on the other side. And we had all sorts of ideas on what we'd do here in Bali, and how we'd grow our lifestyle and build the business, our global business, and all that type of thing. And within a week of being in Bali, we're sitting with Renata, Roger's wife, and what I haven't told you is Roz had leukemia when she was 19 years old, and because of all of the treatment, she hasn't been able to have children. And for pretty much the day we got together, we were on a process of trying to do something about that IVF and adoption in Australia, and we went to India for surrogacy, and all of this had failed for whatever reason. And we're sitting with Renata, and she goes, "Hey, I've got to introduce you to this lady in Sanua who is looking after a woman who's just had a baby, and for all the reasons that have happened, she doesn't know if she can look after this baby." So we show up and we see this beautiful little girl who's just 4 weeks old, and we have this like weird moment which we look at each other and go, "Holy crap! There's something here that could happen where we could end up with this child." And like, this is like bizarre after all the stuff that we've just gone through. Anyway, nothing happened that day other than having that realization. And we friended the lady who runs this restaurant called Liz, and we go and visit Liz, and we go see this little girl for the next few months consistently. You know, come to serve, have a coffee, go say hi to the little girl and everything else. And we get to 9 months later, and we've just come back from Christmas in Australia, and we get back, and Liz is in total breakdown. She's in tears. She's got her family there, her daughter with their little child, and they having a go at her, saying, "Liz, what's happening? Why are you looking after this little girl?" And whatever. And we find out that Mum's left. And Mum's just realised this is way too big for her. She cannot handle looking after the little one. And she's been gone for over a month. And she just let Liz know that she's not coming back. And in that moment, Roz and I just go, "It's sorted. Don't worry about it. We'll look after her." And 3 days later, we come back to Vision Villas, and we have a daughter. And you would have met already, little Allegra that's running around. So my message to you is, this whole journey of everything that you're doing, it's got nothing to do with what you think is the outcome that's going to come out of it. The universe has a far bigger message, a far bigger life for you, and a far bigger opportunity for you to live into. And just by taking the action that you're taking, by constantly checking in and seeing, is this the stuff that I'm doing that's actually going to move me towards what I would love to do, my lifestyle? Is it going to serve the people that I'm looking to serve? Know that that's all that's required. Just take that action. Number one, I want to kind of give you a sense of some of the background I have in systems. So not to impress anything on you, but to impress you with any of it, but to impress on you that the things that we sometimes are not great at, we just need to take some action in that direction to get it sorted out on a regular basis, and it will then it'll work. This beautiful thing of a rhythm will really help you get the systems and the finances side just worked out if you're making a commitment every single week to actually doing it. And the other side, of course, is the fact that all of this here is, as much as I love systems, it's also a very steel conversation, and you can lose your connection to why you're actually doing what you're doing. So, my thoughts this morning was to kind of bring you back to, why you're doing what you're doing every single moment, when you're kind of taking on the things of dealing with the stuff that inevitably is not in your flow, but you need to be accountable for it, or responsible for it, should I say, from less than accountable. Your accountant can be accountable for your books, but you still got to be responsible at the end of the day, and sign off on it and do enough due diligence to know that what they are delivering to you is the right information. So, and that's nothing different to the system side. So what I want to do quickly is go through that, and then I'm going to show you some examples of how we've done that. So who here has some systems in place? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. But we have some food. Yeah, that's okay. Yep. Who has a central place where you put all of your people data, like a CRM or something like that again? Yeah. All right. Cool. Spreadsheet, email system, accounting system. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So I'm just going to go through some levels of this to kind of get you a sense of it. One of the most important things that I found with my business was just the ability to be able to see what's happening as I grew the business with the people that I was growing the business with, and how the different people were kind of moving through the connection with me. So in other words, from prospect all the way to client or partner. And then understanding how to then determine that, and hence why the whole email marketing systems and the CRM systems, or client relationship management systems, were a big part of how we set up our businesses. But there's all sorts of different levels you can play this, and you don't have to have the most expensive, most advanced system in the world. You can do it with pretty much most of the systems out there. So let me quickly take you through what those levels look like. And then I want to just get a check-in with you constantly on where you feel yourself playing. And this is as interactive as we can make it. So ask questions if you don't know what I'm saying about this stuff, because I can get caught up in my own personal technical language. So I'm going to try and keep it really simple. But I sometimes also rush past things which I seem to know very well. So just slow me down or stop me or ask me questions to help clarify things for you, because this is really important just for you to get a sense of the landscape. Because once you know what the landscape is and you know what's available and what things can do, then you can make a better decision on what's right for you. You don't have to know how to use it. That's the number one thing. You don't have to know how to use any of them, but you need to know enough about them to be able to ask better questions and to give people very specific direction. When you do that, it all works. So right at the bottom we have email marketing autoresponders. Who has an autoresponder or an email marketing system? Cool. Which ones do you have? Campaign Monitor? Infusionsoft? No? MailChimp? Who else was out here? Who has an email marketing system or autoresponder? No? So yes, some of them that I've used and some of them that I have lots of people who use. MailChimp's a little bit higher than that, but at the very, very bottom level, these are products that are really good at managing people subscribing to a service or subscribing to some information, and on this side here, actually then sending out automated messages in a timely fashion, and you can set all that up, and those can go out. You can set up 10 or 15 or 100 emails, and it will just keep going out to those people who've subscribed to that list. And to this side over here, where this is more campaigning out to people. So this is more about me getting my message out to a larger audience. Where this one is here, just talking to the audience that's subscribed to a specific piece of information. These ones do that as well, but these ones do the promotion out better and the reporting better, and these ones do obviously the opposite side of it, which is then the responder better. And these guys here are kind of in the middle, and some of them do a bit of this and some of them do both of them as well. So that's like the really, really base level of it, and you can get these for free. You can go online today, register for free, pick up any of these products and start using them with like a base amount of people in your database and a base amount of emails that you want to send out every single month. And you can just kind of get that started. Whatever.
Can we get a copy of this?
Yeah. Absolutely will. So let's just keep that up there. Yes, so everything that you see here I'll pop onto Facebook for you, so you don't have to take notes unless you want to take notes for yourself.
Another question. So these you export to from a database?
So these here are systems which manage people, some level of people data, but mostly communication data.
Right. So you have your database where you have your actual contacts, and you'll do an export to these?
Probably not. If you have a database with people already in it, you'd probably want to integrate your email marketing or your autoresponder system into that at some level. You'd rather not be doing the export-import thing. It's just a manual process you can avoid today.
So in the event you've got Infusionsoft,
yeah,
with all of your data there.
Yeah, Infusionsoft does all of this.
Oh right, okay. So this is a level beneath.
So this is base level.
Right.
Yeah, Infusionsoft is right at the top.
Got it. Okay.
For what we're going to talk about. Let's go over the microphone on side. Thank you, Hannah. Yeah.
Just to clarify, John, are you saying with Aweber you can't do the email marketing, or it's not a great tool for email marketing?
It's not a great tool for email marketing. It's a great tool for autoresponder. It does that very well. It does email marketing.
So technically you'd need both if you have Aweber.
No, you want to evaluate which one you want more of. And it's going to come down to the kind of functionality. So I'll give you an example. And I'll actually give you the example at a higher level because it's going to make more sense. But essentially, you want to consider what is my primary objective that I'm going to be using this for. I've got people who run Aweber as a separate tool, and they have Infusionsoft that runs other things, just because it's easy to set up and manage and whatever else, and they want it to be quite separate to what they're doing with their other business. So I've got people who've done that, and they've got it so embedded in their business that they don't want to go through the process of taking all the information out of Aweber and now putting in Infusionsoft. So they run their two systems, and every month or every week or whatever, they'll do an export and they'll update Infusionsoft. At some stage, they'll look to going into one, but they haven't got there. So I have people who run various systems and multiple systems. At this level here, this is about one product that does one thing well, and then getting different products that do one thing well. So like, okay, now I need a shop system, so then I'll go buy a shop system, and then I'll get a website system, and I'll get that as well. So I'll maybe have WordPress, and I'll have whatever shopping cart that you decide to have. And you kind of build all these things up together. So this becomes a very manual process to run. But when you're just starting out, it's very low cost. So because there's low cost, it means that there's usually more time and effort that needs to go into actually managing this. So you can start here, and it works well as a starting point. My suggestion is let's step up the conversation to the next level, but that doesn't mean that you can't start here. And I know guys who run $1 million businesses with Aweber, so it can do this. The next level up is really products which are a little bit more integrated, so they're like multifunctional, so multi-purpose, multifunctional. So on the one side, you've got products that actually have built inside of them, like shopping carts, SMS systems, web page, landing page, and SMS subscription forms and stuff like that. They do all that inside of it. And here's some of those products that do that. Something like MailChimp I've got in there because it actually does a lot of this through a really nice integration system. So it means that information can flow between the different systems pretty easily. Whereas when you come down here, a lot of these products actually don't have a great integration methodology, so it's hard for you to integrate or have effortlessly automated information moving from one program to the next. So when you're doing a report, for instance, I have to go to, if I was down here, I'd be going to 3 or 4 different pieces of software to get a report on just one campaign, because I wanted to see how that campaign went, from the email going out to the people hitting the landing page, to the people then buying, and how that all works. So I'd have to go to each one of those systems to see how that looked, and then somehow look at all that and go, okay, so this is how it kind of overlaps, and you'll get a good sense of it. But it's a little bit more, it's a bit more challenging to do that, a little harder. Yeah.
So MailChimp can do the autoresponder too, can't it? But then it won't be good at email marketing. Is that how I'm reading this form?
Well, these ones here just get better at doing
the lower level,
more stuff, and all of the low level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is just this is level 1. These guys are level 2 in the level of development that's gone into all aspects of this. Some of them, however, will have lots of different things they do, but they don't do any of them very well. But then you don't have to think about reporting out of 4 or 5 different places. I can get all the reports in one place, or most of them in one place. And I can automatically kind of do certain things. So like, for instance, you would have heard me talk about Platform Interactive. This is the Platform Direct system that, and it's just been rebranded from the company that's bought the business. Platform Direct was the program that I've been using, which was the evolution of our products over time. And it has email marketing, SMS, landing pages that I can set up, subscription and payment forms, and I can do quite integrated campaign searches. So I can really look at my data and I can go, I want to send an email to all the people who bought this product between this date and that date, and also bought this product but didn't buy that product. And I can do that search and find just those people and send an email to them. Try to do that with these guys over here is impossible. They don't have that level of search and inquiry. You can search for their first name, last name, and email address. And you can add some extra fields as well. You can add that in there. But that's essentially, they're made for some really simple stuff. With these guys here, start giving you ability to actually look at all the data and go, how am I going to run this next campaign? And who exactly is going to be my target market for that? So doing that, these ones here, you have to do that manually. So you have to decide at the moment that you're going to do the campaign, who you want to send it to and everything else, where we can go up a whole nother level where you can set up the entire automation of it and just have it run without you once you've decided on all of those aspects, and click go, and it'll then do it and do the algorithms and work out all of that information at the next level. But this one here at least takes it up a whole different level to saying, well, there's one product that does one thing well to a product that does many things well. Like one shopping cart that's got a great shopping cart system, it's got a great emailing system and a really good member management system, so you can actually look after your people and your data. Where something like HubSpot's really got a really good mechanism around building websites, so you don't actually need the things like WordPress and stuff like that, because that's all integrated, so you can see what's happening on your website. So if that's more important, that would be something as well. So these ones here, again, also you can start these at free, so you can sign up for lots of them and actually get them for free. And if you start hitting sort of this, where I'm saying these numbers, free to $100, $200, if you start hitting $100 to $200 in paying for any of these systems on a monthly basis, know that you're hitting the very highest level of their capability. Like, you should not be paying $200 for this level of system. You should just know that if you're getting close to that, upgrade to the next level up, because you'll get far more functionality for less. So that's it. Microphone, William. Thanks.
I'm currently with Constant Contact, and I was paying $3.95 for a year's subscription.
It's a year's subscription.
Yeah, and I've got 800 plus clients.
Yeah.
Can I then obviously go to the next level? You're saying?
Well, that's per year, so that's only about $40.
Yeah,
or 30 odd bucks a month.
Yeah, so you're talking monthly there.
Yeah, I'm talking monthly. This is monthly stuff.
Yeah, so panicking. I think I'll import the database into one shopping cart now. So.
Yeah. At your level, these guys here run generally at about $20, $30, $40. That's kind of most of their business is done at that level. So that's why I'm saying, as you start getting up to this number, you're pushing way beyond where their financial model actually makes sense to continue with the product. Yeah. On this side here, if you start pushing up to $500 for multiple pieces of functionality in one product, know that you can go up to the next level, and again you can get a whole bunch more automation, a whole bunch more functionality, and ability through a system above that. So level 3, if we look up here, I'm going to break it down into 2 areas, which is the left-hand side, which is your automation CRM, to what's on the right-hand side, which is your base CRM and sales management type systems. Who's heard of Salesforce? Everyone should have heard of Salesforce, the number one in one number one online CRM in the world. Really, really well built for organizations that have big sales teams to manage the whole process of prospect to final sale, and then there's the servicing of those clients. Great product for that. You can integrate into it and you can put some other stuff in it, but it's actually quite clunky, and it's to be honest, it needs an upgrade and an update. Salesforce, as far as I'm concerned. Sugar CRM and Zoho, also products that you can even start with these ones for free. Sugar and Zoho, just as a base one, and it's great. CRM is really about customer relationship management. So what's the conversation that I'm having with the customer? What are they asking me right now? Where are they in the sales funnel? Should we be following up with them right now? Are there inquiries that are that haven't been responded to? All that type of thing. It's all these CRMs do great in managing that information. You'll find lots of large organizations who have that is a major part of their focus for run CRMs. On the left-hand side, in saying that, these guys do CRM. So they all get the value of having that information in one place, but they don't do it as well as these guys. These guys have lots more built into the way that you can query the data, or get reports and all that type of thing on the sales side of things, where these guys here are a little bit shy on, for a large organization. For the kinds of organizations that come through iLAB, I haven't found anyone who is too big for this on the left-hand side, and certainly these guys here for larger organizations, I haven't found anyone who needed even to go up there. But this side here, I call it marketing automation. So it brings all of this stuff here that we've been talking about, like the email marketing, the shopping cart, the landing pages, the websites, and subscription, all that type of thing. These guys build automation with that. So they are all about how do we put all this together in a way that is so easy that we can then manage the whole process in an automated fashion. So when I spoke about turning your project into a process, these guys here get that straight away. They want you to run it as a process from day one. So the idea is, let's give you a great tool to be able to set that up in, so that you can think at a very high level on how you want that to roll out, and then you can have your technical people put that in place.
John, I use Capsule CRM right now, and I use Campaign Monitor, which is a British-American thing.
Yes.
Does Infusionsoft merge with CRMs? So can you? Yes. Is there an API that they talk to each other?
Absolutely. Yeah. You'll find all these top players all have major APIs.
Will that include Capsule? Because that is the CRM that we've made work for us so well.
Just make
you think it will just be able to? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the easiest. And probably there'd have to be a conversation around the reason why you want to do that. But we can have that conversation as well. So over here, and I'm going to give you a little demonstration on something. I'll log into the Platform Direct product, and I'll show you all the stuff that these guys would do from it. I'll then show you the kinds of things you'd expect over here, and then I'll log into Infusionsoft and I'll show you the next level up again. And again, if there's no right or wrong on where you start, my business until 2 years ago did very, very well with running Platform Direct and me just doing a few things manually, and I was okay with that. Until it got to a stage where the manual side actually got too much, and I went, "Oh, now I'm no longer okay with this." I've got sales coming in over here, and I've got to every time the sale comes through in the shopping cart, I've got to export that, put into my Platform Direct system, update it, and all that type of thing. It got too much for me, and even though I was outsourcing it, I had to constantly check that it was being done and all that type of thing. So I decided that 2 years ago that I was going to then take it to the next level of automation, where it's all in one place. It's all talking to each other, which is this thing called an API, and all the information's flowing. You on?
Thank you. A few questions. With the Infusionsoft Office Autopilot and Fusion HQ,
yes.
Is there some discriminating features between all those three?
Yes, there are lots. Like they all take things on differently. And rather than me going through it, the easiest thing to do is go on the internet and go compare Infusionsoft and Office Autopilot. And they'll give you two things, and they'll show you all the difference. And do the same with Fusion HQ. They all, and there's other ones as well who play in this market really well. These are the ones that I looked at when I decided where I was going to go with my next level, and they are the major players as far as I'm concerned in the industry right now. For instance, something like Fusion HQ does the web better than all of the other ones because it's all integrated in there. However, Office Autopilot and Infusionsoft integrate into WordPress. So
Infusionsoft does integrate with WordPress.
Yeah. So it's easy to get that flow through, and actually it just takes some more thinking about putting the code onto each one of your WordPress sites so that Infusionsoft can track it.
Okay. Rough price for those?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay, and one other question.
Yeah.
Do any of them talk to Access? So I've currently got a business
Access
system.
database.
Yeah, Access database.
Access is going to probably be running off your server, or is it a cloud-based Access database?
From the server.
From your own personal
computer.
Internal server. That's a much bigger conversation. Whenever you've got data sitting on an internal server, for you to be able to publish that out and actually run a piece of script that does it, it's just much harder. You've just done it? Yeah. Yeah. But if you've got something that you've developed that's there already,
it's a customized database.
There's somebody would need to build you a piece of code which pulls the data that you want out, and and publishes that out to the API of Infusionsoft.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a standard integration, but Infusionsoft has all of the ways how you do that, and so does Access. So somebody who knows Access is probably the better person to have, because Infusionsoft is very easy to understand and publish to.
Yeah.
So if you could get a developer in Access to kind of do that for you, then you can do it.
That's right. Well, the person who's developed our current Access database would be the person, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
The main differences in pricing between all of these three levels is at the bottom two levels, the pricing is generally done on how much activity you got from the perspective of messaging that you're sending out and how many people you have on your database. So if you've got 10,000 members and you're sending out 20 or 30,000 emails a month, they will base their pricing on that. Versus at the top here, and again you can get some of these for free, as I said, Zoho and Sugar you can get for free. These guys here base their pricing on how many people are accessing your data from an administrative perspective. So your team, how many people do you have in your team? How many seats do you have, or do you need to have people accessing information on your system up here? And the reason for it is, over here, these guys, most of their target market are one-man businesses. So it's pointless for them to charge on a monthly basis on how many people are accessing it, because generally there isn't. There's either one person or maybe two people doing that. And mostly the people who are getting these are looking to get messaging out and have people subscribe, and that kind of activity is most important to them. Where up here, this is a company who's just taking it to another level and saying, you know what, I've actually got a team of people who all need access to the system. And lots of people, let me go back a moment. People who only have one employer or just themselves will also use this product because of their level of thinking about how they want their systems to work. But in general, this here is based, they're pricing, all of these guys are based on administrative access to the system. So if you've got 10 people who are accessing your system, you're going to pay more than somebody who needs just 2 people accessing it. Some of them also include your activity as well as in that. So if you're sending out 500,000 emails a month or whatever it might be, they're going to charge you a bit extra for that. And of course, they also have different levels of the database in there. So their model up here is far more complex to the pricing model down here. And for instance, I would say probably the average like these guys' average here is probably $30, $40 a month. These ones here would probably be like $100, $150 a month. These guys here, probably their average is about $250 a month for most of the people who use that. I pay $500 a month for instance, and I do about 200,000 emails a month, and I've got 48,000 people on my database. So I'm just at a same. It's US dollars. Yeah, well, but it's the same in conversation that I have anyway. 48,000. Yeah. So yeah, these guys base that, and essentially I think I've got all my 10 seats are taken for access in that. So in my package, I have 10 seats in that, and I have access to, I think, 100,000 people I can put in my database, and I have a maximum of 500,000 emails I can send a month as part of that. Well, when you've got 100,000, and if you're going out to your database 4 or 5 times a month, you smash your 500,000 pretty quickly. So, not really. I'm quite strategic about my mailing. So I'll break things down, but I've got mailing going out quite often, and when I'm running a promotion, there will be 10 days flat out emailing that goes on to different parts of the database, and sometimes wider and sometimes tighter, as I showed you in some of those stats last time. But yeah, so it racks up pretty quickly. So I would have months though where I have less than 100,000 emails that go out, which is kind of okay with that. No, it depends on the campaign. Yeah, I'm looking for 30%. 30. Yeah, 30% from the people who end up putting their hand up and showing up. To put those people in there. Did I show you the stats of the campaigns that I've done before? Yeah. 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 Yeah, and that changes as well. So let's finish with the system, and I'll give you a couple of examples. I'll put those examples on Facebook as well for you. So is everyone okay with that level over there? So before I go into this one here, which we're already getting to, go back. Before I get into that, just have a quick conversation with the person next to you or with the group of people around you, and just have a conversation about what level you're at or which level you'd like to be at within the next 12 months. So what's interesting is that, well, one of the things I just want to address is this idea of moving data from one system to the next. And there's a number of different systems that require you to put a thing called double opt-in. So if you've got a whole bunch of people on, let's say, Aweber, and you wanted to take them to MailChimp, I think MailChimp's one of them that does this, you have to take those same people and you've got to send them an email out that says, hey, I've got a new system, it's called MailChimp, and by the way, you've been on my database before, click here just to let me know again that you want to be on my database. It's called double opt-in. Now if the system does that, avoid using the system if you've already got people, because you'll lose 70% of your subscriptions. If the system has you have to send out a double opt-in message before they'll actually allow you to send emails to them, you'll lose 70% in getting them to double opt-in. So, and I'm pretty sure with MailChimp, is that, Kevin, do you use MailChimp? No, I use You get response, yeah. So, MailChimp, so you can auto opt them in? Okay, so just double check whichever system you're going for, if they've got it set in stone that that's the only way you can bring in data, avoid it. Most systems like Infusionsoft ask you where do they come from, how do they subscribe, so you actually need to give them the URLs of the page that they came and subscribed to you with, if they're there or not. And you've got to write down a little bit of history of how they came about finding you and subscribing to you. And they've got an entire team who evaluate this. And if they see stuff that's coming through which isn't consistent with the law, they'll get in contact with you. But you can have a human conversation with them. You go, well, actually, this is what happened, and this is why. And they go, oh, okay, well, in that case, yeah, that's fine. So they don't just chop you off because you have to go one specific way of doing it, which is a major thing. So just consider that when you are upgrading, that you want to make sure that the system doesn't do that, and some of them do. But if you're starting from scratch and it's a whole brand new funnel, you have very few people on your database, then you can solve with anything, any of those systems that I put up there. When it comes to integration and stuff like that you can have, you can pretty much, like the ones at the top level, you can integrate pretty much anything into them. And if they can't integrate it directly, there's enough of a community of developers that'll do it for you and do it very inexpensively. So, so know that if you decide you want to play at the highest level, all of what you want to do is available, and sometimes at a small cost. The guys that I've been watching every single year, Infusionsoft does this thing called InfusionCon, which is their massive get-together, InfusionCon, ICON they call it. And every year they come together in about end of March, April, and they acknowledge the best, the people who've done the most amazing things on their system, and they have a competition for this as well. But those guys get to come up and speak about what they did and how they thought about their business and how they integrated into Infusionsoft and how that ended up accelerating their business extraordinarily forward. And I haven't been to the stage to actually do that, but I watch a lot of the recordings of them. And I've not seen anyone, for instance, in Infusionsoft, for like some of the most complex stuff, spend more than $1,000 in development to make something work. And like that was the most expensive I heard. Yeah, and these guys were doing some really incredible things, integrating with systems which were, not on the cloud and stuff like that, and making all that work. And it was really interesting because my mindset was, oh, geez, to get that to work, that's like a $10,000 piece of development, and it could be for certain systems. But when the guys are at the highest level, their systems are so open that they make it so easy for developers to make it, do things for you. So know that anything is pretty much possible, and it should be possible at pretty low cost. And the other thing which we were talking about a moment ago, which was something like social media. Infusionsoft has bought a company called Grow Social to integrate all of the stuff that you'd want to do on your social side, like competitions and stuff like that, and pages and whatever else that you want to set up in there. It integrates all of that back into Infusionsoft, and you can tag people based on the activity on your Facebook pages and stuff like that in Infusionsoft. It's crazy cool stuff that you can end up doing. So you can really start managing your social side. Getting hyper excited, but yeah, it's really cool. So again, it's finding the companies who are out there leading the race and finding what they're doing and how they're doing that, because it just brings all of that reporting in one place. So that aside, if you're interested in finding out specifically what level of or what system is right for you, I'm very happy to sit down and have that conversation with you. So just let me know if you want to do that, and I'll find some time either today. I'm also back on Thursday this week, so between now and then we could find some time, and I'll happily sit down with you and work it out. Yeah, if you want to do that, just let me know by the end of it. In fact, if you just write your name down, and then I'll find some times in my schedule to do that, just on the back of the board. And of course, if it's Infusionsoft or something like that, I have now 2 years of working with it, so I can probably give you a pretty good idea of if it's the right kind of thing for you as well. Okay, so other resources. These are some of the things that I use. I use everything I kind of use is quite specific down to a specific task that I'm doing for something like ClickTail. If you go to clicktail.com, this actually tracks physical activity on your website, and it will actually do it in like heat maps. So if people are coming to your website and moving their mouse from top left to the right hand image and clicking on it, and lots of people are clicking on that, the image actually, like the big circle goes around the image and gets really red and shows you that that's what they're doing. And if you didn't actually have that as an actual clickable image, now you've got some intelligence to go, oh, well, what if I just made that the actual order form image as well, or the link to that? You start understanding people's behavior on your website, and you can buy this for $100 for the month. I would highly recommend this when you're building a new website or a landing page and stuff like that. Just turn it on for a month. Spend the $100, see what's going on, and adjust things, and then see how that changes people's behavior on your website. And it'll obviously show you exactly where they're jumping off the website as well. So when they're exiting the screen and whatever else. So it gives you real clarity if there's a breakdown in your communication at a certain place where everyone seems to be jumping out. That's going to be really helpful for you to understand that. So ClickTale we're cool for that. I use a number of different places. This was just one of them, Reddit, that I use for finding some headlines. And this is more based on news and what's being spoken about at the moment. Litmus, I used to use this a lot. I don't use it actually anymore. But for people, based on what system you're running, it might be helpful to do this just to get your templates of your emails looking right. This, again, it's like, I think it's $100 for the month. But if you get a beautiful designed email template, I would turn this on and send some emails off to it. It'll then show you exactly how that template or that email will look in every single email client known to man today. So you can click on each one and see, is it going to actually look right? How many of us have received emails which just looks like gobbledygook? It's just because somebody hasn't taken the time to check to see that it actually works in your email client. So I used to use this. I used to use these types of things in the past, but you'll notice now that my emails are very, very simple. I write all of my emails. All I do is I create a table, a specific width of my table, and I just write in normal text format, and I have an image of myself and Roz, and sometimes I might do some colors and indents. That's as technical as I get. I don't have any design work that I put in any of my emails anymore. Also, that there's some aspects around the spam for sure that show up, but I found that the designs weren't looking great in every one of my clients, and I just went, stuff that, I'm just going to make it simple. Also, I wanted to also create a culture which was, it's a communication I'm having which, if it looks like it's coming from my normal email inbox, then it looks like I'm trying to connect, more directly with people, and that's what my intention is like my language and everything that I'm studying is to get a better connection with them. So if I've got something that's amazing design with us, they know it's a piece of marketing. They can see it coming. So I avoid that today. And these are some of the outsourced resources areas that I've used for quite a while now. Has anyone else? Oh, that's incorrectly spelled. Has anyone else used these? Yeah. Who hasn't used any of these? Okay, cool. One of the ones that I use quite a lot is this thing called Logo Tournament, and 99 Designs, just to get design work and logos done. And it's really cool because for something like Logo Tournament, you put out a tournament for your design, and you'll have 40, 50, 60, 100 people show up and actually get involved with trying to win your design. And they'll do it for a whole week. And what you do is you keep ranking and re-ranking the results every day, and then updating and telling people what you liked about the new one, what you don't like. And it's a constant conversation, and guys are just in the tournament. It's for $275, and you get yourself almost every single time. In fact, there's never been a case where I didn't get the design I wanted for my logo. I've had other people who didn't get to the end result, but then they weren't really clear in the beginning either of what they stood for and what their brand stood for and who their target market was and those types of things, so they couldn't even communicate that to the designer, which makes it very hard for a designer. Let me just get that too. Thank you.
So with the Logo Tournament, obviously they've got a whole lot of credential questions that they ask you, and then you fill it all out, and then 275 and whack.
Yeah, exactly.
They keep pouring into you.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Yeah, it's very cool. So they've got a few thousand designers on there, and you can. What's really nice about stuff like this is it's almost like crowdsourcing your design.
Yeah.
So you can go in there, you can see who the guys are who are doing the best as well. So it will actually show you a ranking of their best designers in order of the ones who have won the most amount of tournaments and come second and third and whatever else. You can search by keyword on other designs that are happening right now, and you can see who the best designers are, which are very similar to the kinds of design you want. And there are thousands of tournaments going on every single day. And you can go and look at the design, see who's going in, and you can invite those people who are in that design to your design. So you can go find the best guys and invite them into yours.
Right.
I always find that if I pay a little bit more than $275, which is the base level, like you can add more money to it and you can make the prize bigger. I find that's when the bigger guys will show up as well. So my average I pay is about $350, where I go in and there's some extra options in there if you click on different things, and it will publish it out to more people and whatever else. But I pay about $350, and I always get amazing designers. I go and look for them first. I spend probably an hour looking at other designers who have done similar kinds of designs to the specific industry that I'm looking to develop.
And it's not copyrighted or anything. You can get it straight off and
absolutely right. Yeah.
To your printer.
The whole terms and conditions of usage or of the way they work with you is all that. Everything there is all yours to be used. And they give it to you in like the highest printable formats and everything else. So you can make 100-foot signages out of it, and it looks perfect. Yeah. Right. So they do it really well. So those guys there, 99 Designs is also another one. The CrowdSpring as well. So these are all like crowdsourcing type things. Exactly the same as Odesk and Elance and Fiverr, Freelancer, Rent-A-Coda, Guru.com. All of them. You can go into these things and you can go find the people who are doing development and design and virtual assistant work, and you can actually go and ask them to be part of a proposal that you're putting out there. You're putting out a job opportunity, and you can ask specific people to be part of that. And of course, you can put it out to broader communities and evaluate who the right person is for that. Really amazing tools. With that also comes all of the dilemma of how do I choose the right person, how do I manage them, how do I give them the right brief, and that there's a whole bunch of great ways of doing that, where you can get a really good outcome. And there's a lot of them will actually have videos on their website that will train you how to use their website in the best way. So go to Elance, they'll actually show you how to evaluate the best person, how to have the conversation, all that type of thing. And just take the time. If that's something that you're not good at, just take the time, a couple of hours, watch the videos, write down the way that you want to do it, and then put that out to the people. Things that I find don't work all that well are generally things that and I say don't work very well. That take a lot of effort, are usually bigger projects. So if you're going to go there and actually look to hire one person, give them a really tight brief on something I call it relatively small. Build me a website with 5 pages. This is the different pages. This is the content that I want on. Here's some images. Go find some more, etc., etc. That's a small job versus here's a platform, the Genius U platform to build, and there's different levels and access levels and all that type of thing. So now a larger conversation. If you're going to do something like that, find a team of people. There's brokerages in here as well. So there's whole companies based in India who have a whole bunch of project managers and 50, 100 staff that will broker the whole project for you, and they'll manage it with their team. So you don't have to know all of that yourself. So if your project gets bigger and bigger, my advice is to find somebody who has a big team there already and go work with them. And I think we've got somebody who's presenting about outsourcing. Kevin? Serena. Okay, so Serena's like an example of a brokerage. She has a whole bunch of different people. that she works with, and essentially she's got project management in front. So you speak to somebody who kind of understands your language and then translate that into technical language. Same, exactly the same on these ones here. And they're pitching for work all the time. So if you put up your project, they'll pitch for the project if it's something that they want to take on. And that kind of gives you a sense of some of this, and I'm going to go through a few more, which we use as well. So I know that you've done some things around accounting and stuff like that. I just want to cover like a full-on conversation around systems to kind of give you a sense of what else to look for and things to potentially it's like what could I be using here, and I'm giving you the ones that I know work really well, but I'll also let you know what you need to watch out for. So who has the accounting systems right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, pretty much everybody here. Who uses Xero? Yeah. Oh, excellent. What do you think about Xero? Yeah. Everybody seems to give me that same one. Everyone use QuickBooks? Yeah. Used to. Me too. MyOb. What's on MyOb? Excellent. So all of these here now are all online as well. So is everyone on the cloud versions of their software? Yeah. Who's not? You're not on the cloud? Yeah. Cool. So in accounting, I also add this area here, which are your payment gateways. Does everyone know what a payment gateway is, or anyone not know what a payment gateway is? No? So payment gateways are how people actually pay for your goods online. You would have heard of PayPal. Yeah, everyone heard of PayPal? So PayPal is one of those ways of doing it. And PayPal has a number of different things to be kind of aware of. The first thing is that PayPal is an independent, non-complying banking system, so it doesn't have to follow the rules of any country or any bank. So it can decide if they want to close your bank account or not. In a whim. With almost, well, in fact, they can do it with not letting you know anything. They can just close it and wait for you to come back and check with it. Now, in saying that, and I've had that experience, by the way, 4 months trying to get $30,000 out of the account. And they closed it because I did a big promotion. Lots of money came in and they went, this must be illegal activity. So they'll put things on hold and they'll block your access to it if there's certain activity in there that they consider might be ethical or whatever they want to decide what it is. So with PayPal, there's a few things that you want to do. Number one, if you're running any campaign with PayPal, you want to let them know that the money is going to come into the account over the next X amount of time. And give them a sense of how much it is. Just so they know. If they know that you already communicate with them, then there is no issue. They won't block it or anything else. They only do it when there's been no activity and suddenly $20,000, $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 suddenly hits your PayPal account. They go, uh-oh, there's something going on here. So number one is you want to keep in contact with these guys. The second part of PayPal, which is potentially some issues, is that it won't allow somebody to put their credit card details in if they don't have their credit card registered with a residential address. You can't use a PO box in PayPal when you're using a credit card payment. So if somebody doesn't have a PayPal account, is paying you by credit card, and their credit card is registered with a PO box, then there's going to be an inconsistency anyway, because you would have to, if you had to put a residential address, your credit card provider would go, well, that's not the same person, and there may be an issue there. But PayPal actually won't allow you to put a PO box in at all. So I've had a number of different occasions where somebody couldn't pay me because they didn't have that. They had to then go back and change their address registration with their credit card to their residential address, and then they could make the payment. And that took time and effort and frustration and whatever else. The third thing that's an issue is that if anybody paying you tries to pay with their credit card rather than actually logging into their PayPal and actually doing that, if their credit card is registered with a PayPal address, it won't allow them to do that, which is a quick payment process. It'll ask them to log in. Ah, okay, that's interesting. So if somebody's just trying to make a quick payment with PayPal, and they use the credit card which is associated to a PayPal account they already have, and they may not even be using that account anymore, it won't allow them to make the payment without logging into that account and then making the payment. As well as the email address they're using. If they use the same email address which is associated to a PayPal account, and they put that inside their details or their credit card, it'll say, sorry, this is already registered as a PayPal account and you've got to log in. So they've got to just change it. They don't have other email addresses that becomes an issue. If they don't have a credit card, that becomes an issue. So there's a few kind of technical stuff just to get around. Well, I haven't seen that change for me. So I will, yeah. So it's just things to consider, that there can be some stuff like that that may show up. But at the end of the day, you can have a merchant facility essentially set up within hours of that. And I'll give you an example. I set up our whole business structure in Hong Kong. I flew to Hong Kong. Within 2 days, I had the business set up, the bank set up, my PayPal set up, and I was taking payments that second day into my PayPal account. So you can do that very quickly. With all the other systems, if you go to the bank and ask for a merchant facility and then get your online merchant facility to kind of connect with your web system and whatever else, these are weeks, potentially even months of time to actually make that work. Or you can go find other ones online who actually do this as well, and there's a number of different systems online that basically act as your shopping cart, and I'll use the two main ones just so you guys kind of get a sense of it. If you were to sell through Amazon or sell through eBay, you don't have to have the merchant facility set up. They will take the payment for you, and they'll process the payment, and they'll send that money to you later. But you don't have to set all of that up because you're using their system. So there are some systems available online where you can actually have them, you can just use their service as the actual payment gateway and pay them a small percentage for that. And you can do that pretty much within like a day or so of just going in there, talking to them and setting that up. So there's ways of getting around that and getting it done. WorldPay and eWay are ones that work well in sort of Australia, UK and US. Not so good in Indonesia or Hong Kong or Singapore and stuff like that, unfortunately. There are different ones for that, but you can find different ones on that. So these are called payment gateways over here, or merchant facilities, online merchant facilities, which basically just manage the transaction from your website through to your bank. And that's all they do. Payment processing, this is exactly what I was talking about. I've just added that as a separate one now. So there's some nice little ways of addition to that, which is called PayPal Express Checkout, which helps the process of the checkout much quicker. Things that PayPal do pretty well today as well is you can put people on a payment plan in PayPal, and you can set that payment plan up and just give them a Pay Now button. And when they do that, every month it just pulls the money out their account, which is a new addition to PayPal, which was very cool to be able to do that. Project management. Who uses project management tools online? Any of them? Which one do you use? Teamwork. Teamwork. Anybody else? No? Spreadsheets. So Basecamp, Teamwork, To-Do List, at Task, Jira. There's a whole bunch of in there. Why would you use this? For any project that I do, I will set up a project in the project management software, and I'll pull everybody in. Everybody gets tasks. They manage their tasks. They have dates and stuff like that set for them to achieve those tasks. We share all the information in one place. So it's not like if you've got 3 or 4 people on your team and you're running a project, there's this mass of emails going back and forth, and documents getting pushed this way and then coming back, and it becomes a mess very quickly. So what this does, it just pulls all of that information into one environment, so you can just manage the whole project in one place, and everyone can find the information, the latest information, in that one place as well. So they don't have to constantly email everyone, hey, have you updated that document? Because the document's already up online, and there's references and lists and links to that. File sharing. Anyone using any of these file sharing systems? Box.next, Dropbox, or Copy.com? Which ones are you using? Dropbox, Dropbox, Dropbox. Everyone's on Dropbox. Cool. For those of you, this was really cool. This actually came from my last program. A guy who was in here was on Copy.com, which is pretty cool. So something like you can get Dropbox, and I think you get 2 gig for free with Dropbox. The guy who was in our last program said, hey, go and have a look at this. And Copy.com gives you 15 gigabytes for free. So if you just want to get something started up very quickly and very simply with maybe yourself and one other person or whatever, the Copy actually seems to work. It seems to have very similar tools to Dropbox. I've got it on my program, my system right now, and I'm kind of playing with that. But it was actually quite a neat little interface. Very, very, very similar to Dropbox. Maybe it's not as advanced as Dropbox is today, but the fact that you can get 15 gig on there for free before you start paying anything is quite nice. And then if you invite anybody in, they'll give you 5 gig on every time you invite somebody into Copy.com who just register for free. They'll just give you an extra 5 gig. So that's quite a nice little way as you kind of get that going, is to tell your friends about it, and then don't pay for your program ever. Sugar? I haven't, no. Another one? Yeah, and it's a file sharing type program. Okay, so something like that. Do you want to? Do you use it? Or have you used it before? Google Docs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Google Drive is the next one really, which is this thing here, which is for file collaboration. And the difference between file sharing and collaboration is sharing is basically where you've got a file which has to be updated by one person at a time. And then when they've updated that, then somebody else can go in there and update it. So that's what happens on Dropbox. And Dropbox will also tell you if 2 or 3 people have edited the same file, it'll actually say, we've got some copies here, there's some conflicted versions of this, which means that you're then going to open up all 3 versions, see what the conflicts are, copy them across, and then save the actual final one. So if you're collaborating on a document, much easier to use something like Google Docs or Google Drive, where basically a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet can just be available, and you can have your entire team in there editing at the very same moment, and you can see people moving their cursor around, and you can see them editing stuff at any one time. So it's really, really cool to do that. And it's all on the cloud for you to just kind of access. If you're not, you sign up for one of them. From the perspective that if you don't have that or a backup of your files somewhere and it's all on your computer right now, who doesn't have a backup of all their files and stuff like that? Just on your computer? Just sign up for one of these now and just put all of your most valuable stuff online. Because when the computer dies, and can do that tomorrow, you can just go into anyone's computer and access all of your data right there. You just don't lose it. I've gone through a few MacBooks now, and every time I get a new one, I just go sign into my Dropbox, sync, and within a day of syncing what I want on my computer locally, everything's there. It's just I didn't have to do anything. I just go sync, or I can just access the files because it's all sitting in the cloud anyway. So it's so important to have that. We've had a number of people come to iLAB and lose all their data, the entire computer, whilst they were here, and had to. These are also people who just happen to have no backup and stuff like that as well. So it happens. And the people who have done that and did have it, within hours they had the data that they needed, or within moments, because they could access it from any other computer. Global communication, who uses Skype, GoToMeeting, Google Hangouts, or Zoom? Yeah, who doesn't use any of that? Yeah, no? This is our latest little tool that we're playing with, Zoom.us, which is a really cool video conferencing style. I'll call it webinar. It's more of a meeting style program. It is very high video quality, and you can have up to 25 people in video conference on your screen and be talking to them and seeing them in one environment. And you can have hundreds of people within the actual webinar environment watching what's going on as well. Who uses Zoom? Anyone else use Zoom? They're cool, hey?
What's really cool is when,
Yeah.
when they talk, the video window automatically comes up.
Yeah.
So you can take them to walk, and then when the next person talks, that window goes there and
Yeah. I know.
If you look at Paul Dunn's Facebook post recently, he's just put one thing out about Zoom, and then one of his guys or one of his customers has gone and trialed every single. So there's all of the pros and some of the things that's still development. Really good conversation to go and have a look at.
Yeah, Paul's a big supporter of it. We actually were all introduced to Zoom by a lady named Sarah McCrum, who did our, I think, December iLAB program, and it was just great because we thought Google Hangouts basically was that answer, and I found that it actually didn't work as well for me. It works well in certain environments, but for webinars, you really want something which is far more robust. GoToMeeting is what I use and have used for many, many years. GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, and we use Skype just for quick catch-up calls as well. Being in the States was just so simple because I just had my Skype on all the time, and literally if anyone needs to get hold of me, it's just there, it's always accessible. So limitations really is the video. Limitations 25 people in video. So if you're doing like closed meetings and you're doing like boardrooms, like perfect for that. Like put 10, 15, 20 people in your boardrooms, or if you're running small closed webinars, but they've got different levels that you can use, and all the other people just go into listen-only mode. So, probably I'd say it would be a similar capability to something like a GoToMeeting. I really do.
One of the downsides of Zoom that the guy that was reviewing came up with was the fact that you can't personalise the emails too much at the moment, the invitation and the follow-up.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a downside as well.
In saying that, I don't actually use any of the system's emails anyway. When I have the way to get around that. Do you want a quick little strategy on how to get around that very quickly?
I'm just conscious of
Yeah.
putting the eye books in.
That's okay. We'll be finished in a few moments. There's two ways of inviting people into any event. And number one, you can go, yes, here's the registration form, which is in the webinar software. So you can do it that way, and that way it's quick and easy. They get the registration information. The system then sends out emails and SMSs, whatever else, and it does it all through its platform. The thing with that then is when you get to the end of the webinar, you're going to you don't actually know without actually going into the webinar software what's actually happening with that unless of course you've integrated it. The other way, which I do now, which is my preferred way, is register them through Infusionsoft. So they just come straight into Infusionsoft, just through a normal form, they register for it, and I send them the emails from me. Here's the link to the webinar, but it all comes from me, from my system, rather than from the Zoom system or from the GoToMeeting system. And all they've got to do is, the only thing is that they've got to register a second time when they actually come into the webinar to say who they are. But I find that is far better because I'm managing the people inside of a campaign and through a process in Infusionsoft all the way through, and I'm managing exactly what they see and how they see that. And there's the link to the Zoom one. I'm telling it when the SMS goes out and the email goes out, and so on. Far more powerful than worrying about what they got. That's right. So then I have them in my Infusionsoft database, and then when I'm importing them again, I'm just linking them back to the people who registered in the first place, because they had to have been registered to have been on the call. So it's an easy process to import them as well. So it makes it really simple to do that. CRM and campaign, we've gone through that already. Online sales, Infusionsoft does shopping cart as well, as well as all of that. Okay. Yes, you can. So Eventbrite, anyone using Eventbrite or anything like to run the events? Yeah? Which ones do you guys use? Or Eventbrite? Anyone using anything else? No? Yeah. Mm. Yeah. 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 Their system is pretty intense though. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, you go with Eventbrite. Yeah. Yeah, I think it works well. Anyone uses SMSs? Anyone use SMS at the moment? No? SMS I find is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful for just personalized, direct communication, direct connection with your market. There's a online service called 160.com.au that you can use, which is really cool, and you pay like, I don't know, less than a cent an SMS. It's like crazy cheap to get your SMSs out. I get on specific campaigns I do on SMS, like if I'm trying to get people into an event and actually I'm giving some free tickets away, I can get up to a 10% registration rate to my SMS list. 10% direct registration rate to my SMS list if I'm giving away something that's free. And there's different things to obviously do with it, but if I'm sending them SMS directly from me saying, hey, I've got a free ticket, just send me an SMS back with your email address, I can get up to 10% of that list. So if I'm sending it up to 500 people, I can get up to 50 of those people actually register. Who shows up is a different one, but in saying that, we still have about 20 to 30% of them that actually show up from that as well, just because we do the follow-up and that type of thing. But you can actually get really high response rates from SMS, because no one and as I say no one, there's a lot less activity and stuff happening on SMS, and people they don't seem to have worked it out just yet. They send silly stuff. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Of course, with SMS, you need to instantly create your connection with the person by saying who you are and everything else. And certain services, SMS broadcasts, you can put your email address, your phone number in there. So if they already have you on their mobile, it'll say who it is, where it's coming from. But you can say it very quickly. This is so. And we've done this a few times with our events in Australia, where we've picked up a whole bunch of extra people, up to about 100 more people in our event that we did just by running a direct SMS service. It's a bit more manual to actually process and everything else, but it works so well. So I'd highly recommend it, and also for reminders. You want to be putting SMS as a reminder for somebody before they go to the webinar. And the ones I've forgotten to do it, it's a noticeable drop in people showing up if the SMS hasn't gone out. Anyone doing affiliate programs? Yeah? Anyone using these ones here? Post Affiliate Pro, Eventbrite, or Infusionsoft? No? Any ones that you're using? Eventbrite? Who else? Anyone else using anything else? So we'll talk about more around affiliate stuff later this week or next week. But really important if you're going to be going leverage-wise and working with people who have larger networks who can promote you, you want to make sure that you get the right affiliate management system in place, and of course a process as well to actually make that happen. That is it for me.